my private Facebook page, so that way you can hop on and check out any future recordings in case you miss one. So let me go ahead and grab that for you. There you go. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into it. Oh, actually, let me verify that I'm recording. And I am. Cool. Okay. So we're going to be going through marketing inside of Command, specifically with Facebook marketing, because that's been a huge part and a very successful part of the whole campaigns process inside of Command. We've seen a lot of success with it. In fact, in a minute, I'm going to take you through some actual success stories that were recently published by Keller Williams using Facebook ads through Command. And everything starts as this is all tying into the first part of what's called the lead generation model. This is provided by the early drafts of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent 2. They went ahead and started releasing some of the new systems and models. And you can see here, this is a figure of what the lead generation model looks like for more specifically solo agents, but teams and groups can also apply this as well. But basically, everything's split up into three different sections. You got your lead generation, you've got your database, and then you've got your sales pipeline, all right? The prospecting and marketing is really what we're going to be covering today, and that's going to be primarily, in this example, Facebook marketing. Now, prospecting and marketing can be all kinds of stuff: postcard campaigns, door knocking, passing out business cards to random people you see on the side of the road, wherever, whatever you want. But we're going to primarily focus on Facebook ads for a few different reasons, and we'll go ahead and start getting into that. One of them is because we want to make sure we're meeting customers where they are. 4 out of 5 home buyers, and these are statistics that are partnered with Facebook, and there's another statistics company, I forget the name of it off the top of my head. But basically, we got these stats from them. 4 out of 5 home buyers use an online resource at some point in their home search, which is one of the reasons why we're prioritizing Facebook advertisements, is because that's where a lot of people are. If we look here, or continuing on with the mobile and the online theme, 70% of people in the U.S. are using a smartphone on a daily basis. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've got mine right next to me, and I use it all the time for all kinds of stuff. Mobile first creativity has a 27% higher likelihood of driving brand lift. What that means essentially is if you're gearing your marketing towards a mobile platform, basically gearing it towards people that use smartphones, you're going to have much more success with your advertisement because the majority of people are on smartphones. So that means making sure your emails look good on a smartphone, making sure your Facebook ads look good on a smartphone, and also using your consumer app or any other real estate apps that you prefer to use. We spend a lot of time on social media, whether it's for work or whether it's just for fun. An average of an hour and 15 minutes each day on social media, and Facebook and Instagram are the predominant social media platform. 3 out of 4 people use Facebook to visit the page of a local business at least once a week. We're starting to see the theme here. Mobile creativity is good. We want to make sure we're gearing things towards a social media platform, specifically Facebook. And that's why we're going to be talking primarily about that. One of the amazing things, and I'm going to go over this in just a minute, is that KW actually partnered with Facebook to ensure that we had a really good way of creating easy and inexpensive advertisements through Command. The campaigns applet in Command, specifically where you create paid advertisements through Facebook, Facebook actually partnered with Keller Williams to design that because they know their algorithm, and they knew that if we had certain things turned off or certain things turned on, we would be able to create very effective advertisements. On top of that, anytime you create an advertisement through Command to go to Facebook, you're using Keller Williams' Facebook account, essentially. All advertisements are going through one platform, through one account, which means that we're going to be able to get higher brand lift than anybody else. We're going to have our ads placed front and center before anybody else's. Let's see. Real estate agents spend nearly 9 hours a week setting up social media campaigns, all right? That's just typical across the board. Real estate agents spend a lot of time fine-tuning their ads and setting them up and managing them. 80% of real estate agents use Facebook to buy homes for sale, to market homes for sale, but very few of them do it correctly. So basically the theme here is a lot of people spend a lot of time creating advertisements, but very few of them actually do it correctly. This is a huge advantage to Facebook partnering with Keller Williams, is because they cut out the fluff. They cut out all the stuff that you don't need to run a successful advertisement. So that way we can spend less time making ads and more time actually making connections with the leads that we generate from them. And as we're about to see, the success is incredible. People are able to generate very inexpensive leads very quickly. In fact, let's go ahead and jump into the other source that I want to use here. Keller Williams has a publication, both print and digital, called Outfront Magazine. You can find this at outfront.kw.com. They do regular articles here on all kinds of stuff. But the most recent one was about how to create high converting Facebook ads, plus some good practical examples of those advertisements. And I'm not going to go through the entire article. I highly recommend, I'll go ahead and paste it into the chat here because it does link to some really good articles on engaging with their sphere of influence, or how to use social media for business purposes, how to work with motivated buyers. But I'm going to go ahead and scroll down a little bit and look at some steps for successfully targeting your audience. This is really important in making sure that we're targeting the correct people using our Facebook ads. So, and let me go ahead and mute. I've got my chat thing up here. It's being really loud. Okay. We want to make sure we're profiling our buyers whenever we're creating advertisements for Facebook. So it says right here, for each listing, come from a marketing mindset and drop a detailed mental profile of the person you can see purchasing the home. Who's going to be living there? And one second, let me close my window. We're starting to get a bit of a rainstorm here. I don't want it to be too loud. Okay, sorry about that. So basically, if you're going to be listing a property, for instance, or maybe if you work with a certain price range, make sure that you're gearing your marketing towards the people that you can see looking at and clicking on that advertisement. They continue on to use an example of, if you're working with like high price luxury listings, maybe you should gear your advertisement towards people who are a little bit more, have more expensive tastes and things like that. Zero in on your interests. We're going to get into what this looks like in a little bit, but it says, while you're not able to target demographics such as age and zip code, targeting your audience accurately based on their interests will ensure that your ads get in front of the right people. Focus on real estate related interests and keywords such as mortgage calculator. Next is think about your price point. All right. And this is where we're going to be talking about, the relationship between your typical customer and the price point you're working with here. In choosing the interest you will be targeting, think about the home's price point. For luxury listings of homes with custom features and remodeling, adding in keywords such as architecture and design might help. So when you're actually crafting the advertisement, make sure that you're using some of those keywords that are really targeted towards the people that are in your typical price point. Set your parameters. Think about your budget and how you'll be measuring success. How much money are you willing to spend? And how many leads would it take for you to deem a campaign successful? Now, this is going to entirely depend on how many leads you need, period. Using the goal setting tools inside of Command will help you figure out how many leads you need to get to have the amount of closings that you want, which means you get the amount of profit that you want. So you got to think about, okay, how many leads do you want, period? And then from there, how much money do I actually want to spend on my advertisements? Now, as we'll see in a little bit, they recommend spending $10 to $12 a day on leads, or excuse me, not $10 to $12, $10 to $12 for an entire campaign period over 5 to 7 days. You can vary that price point, but basically, set a strict budget for yourself and only use that budget. And that'll kind of help you figure out, okay, how do I need to craft my ad so I'm not going over budget here? And create engaging copies. For single property homes, don't give anything away in the advertisement, and don't put the property address on the ad itself. Instead, lead with a question or encouragement that will make viewers curious to click through and learn more. So for example, if you're creating the advertisement and you're putting the text on there, which we're going to go through all those steps, you want to make sure you're saying stuff like, have you seen the light fixture in this living room? Or check out the ceilings in this master bedroom. Basically, use a bit of a question and kind of lure them into the advertisement. Whether you're a Facebook novice or simply on the market for something new, consider taking a page out of these 4 successful agents' Facebook playbooks. All right, so we're going to actually take a look at some practical examples of some good success stories using Facebook ads. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I want you all to see how other people are using these. So Haley Roysum from the Anderson Hicks Group, she says that they did an average runtime of 7 days per advertisement. And it says that if they have an advertisement that does really well, they basically duplicate it and run it again on a $30 budget for 7 days. Total spent since beginning to run advertisements. So since they started to run Facebook ads, they've spent a total of $2,347 on advertisements. They have received over 1,000 leads, and they've secured 40 plus appointments from those leads. That's pretty amazing right there. And while 2,347 might seem like a little bit of money, if you think about it, let's say that they, out of the 40 plus appointments that they secured, let's say that they had 20 closings. It's a fairly small conversion rate, but let's just say that was the case. And out of those 20 closings, they did an average of $5,000 in gross commissions, which is average in the market that I'm in here in North Florida. So 20 closings times $5,000 in gross commissions, that's approximately $100,000 in gross commissions. So you can see their initial investment of $2,300 on Facebook ads has yielded them around the $100,000 GCI ballpark. That's pretty incredible. If we scroll down a little bit, here's another one. Jessica Starr of the Starr Realty Group. Total ads run through command within a 72-day span. 30 advertisements, okay? Total runtime of 5 to 7 days per advertisement. And they started experimenting with advertisements about 70 days ago, so they've been practicing with these a little bit. They've spent a total of $1,193 on their advertisements, and they've received 473 leads. And in that time, they've closed on $24,571.50 in gross commissions. So you can see that initial investment of $1,100 has yielded some pretty awesome results so far. And there's no telling what's going to be coming from that. We'll look at one more. Nick Baldwin, a lot of you have probably heard of him before. He does a lot of successful Facebook advertisements, and he teaches a lot of class on how to do that too. He does single property ads with a, within a 45-day span, he's done 8 advertisements. Average runtime is 5 to 7 days. So you can notice a theme here. People typically spend advertisements that go 5 to 7 days. And a total amount spent, $220. He's received 158 leads. He secured 12 appointments, and he's closed $24,849 in gross commissions through these Facebook advertisements. You're noticing the pattern. Things look pretty awesome here.
Hey,
So,
Taylor,
yeah.
are we able to see their advertisement, their verbiage, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, if you look on my screen here, this is a screenshot of Nick Baldwin's advertisement here. I put the link to the article in the Zoom chat, so I encourage you to open it up, go through and read through it, and take a look at their verbiage and how they're building their advertisements, and that will kind of help influence you as you build yours as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into command and go through how to actually build these advertisements, and maybe we'll use some of their examples as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to agent.kw.com to log into command as usual. Once we're in there, we wanted to make sure that we connect our Facebook. Actually, let me step back for a second. The first thing we want to do is make sure that we have a Facebook business page created. And we're not going to go through how to do that here. If you have questions on that, I would recommend just hop on Google and just search for how to create a Facebook business page. And in fact, I think there might be an article in this Outfront magazine that goes through how to do that. Let me scroll up a little bit. Yeah, so there is an article on the Outfront magazine. It says, we've discussed how to use social media for business. This should take us to, yeah, so this will probably give some pointers on how to use social media, specifically Facebook, for your business purposes. So go to Facebook, create a business page, and then we'll come back to command. Inside of command, you want to make sure that you connect that Facebook business page. All right, what we're going to do in command here, we're going to click on our name in the upper right-hand corner, then click on settings. And then we're going to scroll down a little bit till we get to Facebook Ads Manager. This is where we connect our business account for ad management. You're just going to click on Connect Account, log into your Facebook account, and then make sure that your business page is popping up right there. Once we've done that, we can then, on the left-hand side in this applet menu here, we're going to click on the little megaphone that's for campaigns. That's where we're going to run the advertisements from.
Hey, Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
How does it just pull up your Facebook business page? Is there a step I missed there how to attach my Facebook business page to command.
No. So did you go through the settings and connect the Facebook account there?
No, that's where I missed.
Okay, so that's the step that I was just on. So if you click on your name in the upper right-hand corner of command, and then you click on settings, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a section that says Facebook Ads Manager. It's under the marketing automation section. That's where you're going to connect your Facebook account, and you'll log in with your
Sorry, I was
Facebook
on a
username.
call.
What was that?
Sorry, I was on a call.
Oh, that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the campaigns applet in command. It looks like a little megaphone. Now, the first page it takes us to is the dashboard. This is going to give you a general overview of your ad spending, your conversion rates. It'll show you what accounts you have connected to Facebook. And this is where you can also connect your accounts by clicking on Manage here. And then it gets some other stuff like some updates to the advertisement platform, some videos, maybe some tips and tricks on creating good, engaging advertisements. Once we're inside of this campaigns applet here, we want to make sure we click on the payments button on the top right-hand corner. This is so that we can connect a payment card, like a debit card or a credit card, because we can't pay for advertisements unless we connect this. Now, a lot of people have is, how does KW handle the money? Basically, any money that's spent here just goes directly to Facebook. It just funnels straight through to them. I'm not going to get into the details of how the advertisements work with the ad space and all that stuff. There's a lot to go through with Facebook's algorithm, but basically, there's no guarantee that you're going to spend the entire amount of money on an advertisement. So let's say you spend $10 on a 5-day ad. There's no guarantee that the entire amount of money is going to be spent just because of the way the system works. If there is any money left over, it's going to pop up into this remaining credits section here on the payment profile. We can then use those credits to pay for future advertisements. So if you notice that your advertisement's not spending as much money as you've designated or budgeted, that's okay. You can use the extra money to use on other ads. All right.
Does it just roll over if you spent the $20 and it charges the next 10 or something like that? Or you have to set it up that they have to ask you for that money?
I'm not 100% certain. I would say it probably just automatically adds in there the credit amount. You might be able to tell it not to, but I think it just automatically rolls it in there. Okay, so once we've got our Facebook account connected and we've connected a payment account, then we need to actually start the new campaign. So we're going to go ahead and click on where it says Create New Campaign. Now, in this class, we're just going to focus primarily on Facebook advertisements, and that's going to fall under the social ad button right here where it says Paid. We click on that, and we're greeted with some options. The first thing we need to do is we need to enter a campaign name, all right? And the campaign name is obviously going to correspond to the type of advertisement we want to run. So for advertising a listing, you can name it the property address. If you're advertising some sort of brand awareness, title it, the subject of the brand awareness. Maybe you're advertising Keller Mortgage so you can attract buyers, or maybe you're advertising an open house or something like that. So you can give it a title that corresponds to the subject of the advertisement. So let's say in this example, we're going to advertise, let's advertise a listing. I think that's what a lot of people use this for. So we're just going to plug in a random address. Let's just say 123 Main Street. That's the name of the listing. Actually, does anybody here on the call have a listing that I can use as an example?
156 West Elbridge Way.
And is that an active listing?
It's under contract.
Under
I
contract?
got the neighbors coming out tomorrow.
Okay. We'll need to use an active listing for this example so that way we can actually pull the listing info from the MLS. Does anybody have an active listing that's running? All right, that's okay. Let's go ahead and just enter just a random address, 123 Main Street. Okay, so we've got a listing address in there. Now we want to choose a goal. Advertise listing basically is what it says. We're going to advertise an actual listing. Advertise multiple listings, pretty self-explanatory. Attract listings. Now, that one could be helpful for everybody in this call, and really for anybody, is running an advertisement that is geared towards trying to get people to list with you. And in this example, you could, use personal experience or previous real estate experience. Maybe you can use Keller Mortgage to your example and say, hey, if you work with me, I can offer the buyers a fantastic mortgage deal. Something along those lines. Attract talent might be maybe you're looking for an admin or a referral partner or something like that. Brand awareness could be really geared towards buyers and sellers. It can be geared towards referral partners. Basically, you could talk about you yourself as the agent. Maybe use Keller Mortgage as an advertisement subject. Event awareness would be good for open houses, things like that. Attract buyers, self-explanatory. Or other. If you're running an advertisement that doesn't fall under any of these categories, you can use other. So let's say we're advertising a listing. So we're going to select advertise listing. And then
Hey,
we're going to
Taylor,
run the, yes.
I'm sorry. I found one of my listings that's active if you wanted to use one of our teams.
Fantastic. Let's do that. What's the property address?
It's 12511 General OTT Road.
General, is it two words, General Ott?
2 words, General Ott Road.
Road. Cool. All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, so we've got our property address in the title. We're going to advertise a single listing, and then we're going to choose the Facebook button down at the bottom where we're going to actually run the campaign. And then we're going to click Set Up Campaign. Okay, so the first thing that happens is it's going to ask us to plug in a listing. Now, I don't have any active listings myself, so you're not going to see anything here, but I can choose where it says show, and I'm going to choose all listings. And I'm going to go ahead and search for that property address, and that was, remind me the property address? Stacy, I believe you are on mute.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
The address was 12511 General Ott Road.
1251 General Odd Road. Okay. I would type it in, but it seems like it's being very slow. We'll plug it in later. I just closed out that window. Okay, so now I'll go ahead and click on Add a Listing, and then we'll see if that works. There we go. 12511 General Ott. And there it is. This is the one right here?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click on Select. And that comes directly from the listing or from the MLS. Oh, and you can already see right here, there's some text that already pulls over from the listing. That's an attention grabber right there. Look at that. Hot, hot, hot. I love it. Okay. So we can use the text that comes directly from the MLS if we want to. We can edit it and kind of shorten it a little bit, or maybe add in some extra stuff that might work really well on a Facebook advertisement, or we can leave it just as it is. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see. Let's shorten some of this a little bit. Purchase a brand new luxury townhome in Tangi's newest development.
What would you say the average, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What would you say the average wording to captivate somebody? Because obviously they're not going to read a lot when it comes to sponsored ads. Mm-hmm. What would you say be the max that you would type right there?
Perfect question. Directly underneath the text box, there's something that says recommended 125 characters or less. So basically you do want to keep it short. And right here, I have 84 characters. Now, I'm not going to go through and fine tune the text right here, because that's going to be something you'll need to do on an individual basis, because you know your listings better than I do. But you want to make sure that you're using something that's going to grab attention. Maybe tease a little aspect of the listing that you think might be very popular. For instance, I was working with an agent in our Pensacola Market Center a few months ago, and she was advertising a listing that had a couple of boat slips in the backyard and an outdoor brick pizza oven. And so we used that in the actual advertisement. We said, new home on the river, 2 boat slips, and awesome pizza oven or something along those lines. And that was her most popular ad that she's ever run, because I think We talked about a pizza oven. Like, who doesn't want to click on a house that has a pizza oven in it? That's pretty awesome. So use some unique aspect of the home, maybe its location or landmarks nearby or something like that, to try to grab their attention. And just like you were saying, Stacy, don't keep it too long. You want to keep it nice and short, and still pique their curiosity. And you can see on the left-hand side, this is where we're going to be editing all of the text, all of the different fields for the ad. And on the right-hand side, we have the actual preview for the advertisement. This is what it's going to look like when it hits Facebook. Now, we can see it where it says Facebook preview web feed. That's what it's going to look like if you're viewing it on like a computer or a laptop, something like that. But we can preview it as if it was going to be on a cell phone too. If we click on this drop-down box where it says web feed, we can choose mobile, and you can see it automatically shrinks it to look like it would be on a smartphone. That's vitally important, as we discussed earlier, because the vast majority of people looking at Facebook advertisements are going to be on a smartphone or a tablet. So we want to make sure this advertisement looks good to them. Now, we won't be able to use as much text on a mobile-based advertisement as we would on like a computer Facebook ad. So we want to make sure we do keep it somewhat short, tease a few awesome features in there, but don't make it too long. If you want to use emojis, I like emojis. I always recommend them. You can click on the little emoji button down in the bottom corner of this text box. Let's just pop in a couple of emojis, because why not? Let's see. There's a fire emoji around here somewhere. I know there's a search button. There we go. So we'll copy that and we'll paste that in a couple of spots here. There we go. That should grab their attention. Okay. So we've got our advertisement in there. It's going to grab their attention. It's got some colorful emojis in there. Brand new luxury townhome in the newest development. Great. All right. That's going to be an awesome advertisement. So let's go ahead and go to the headline of the advertisement. And that's going to be directly underneath whatever picture you're using in the ad. So let's see, headline of over 40 characters may be cut off. So it says keep it short, basically. So we could say new luxury townhome. Description, something short and sweet. Their example is you could be coming home to something like this. Or maybe you could tease a couple of extra features of the house that weren't in the main body of the advertisement. Well, you can also click on where it says use suggestion and just use the suggestion that they've given you. Or we can click this little shuffle button and even flip that around a little bit, like schedule a private tour with me today, or view photos and videos of this home. Let's just use suggestion. And you can see right here, there is the headline of the advertisement, new luxury townhome, and directly underneath it is the description. You could be coming home to this. Actually, let's use an exclamation point and throw an extra emoji in there for good measure. Let's use that. Why not? All right. So we've got our text in there. Any questions about the advertisement text before I move on to the next part? Oh, and I should also point out directly underneath all this, it says text cannot contain misleading content, content that applies personal attributes, adult or political content. This comes directly from Facebook, their policies and guidelines. So make sure that your advertisements are not containing anything like this, because if they are, they will not get published to Facebook or they'll get immediately taken down. And you can click on these to get some more information on what all of this applies. All right, so let's click on Save Ad Text. And then we'll go to Add Media, Configure. So it automatically pulled a picture from the MLS. Now we can change that image if we want to. We can click on where it says add, or we can add additional images. Let's just go ahead and add an extra image on there. I'm going to click on where it says add more right here. And then I'm going to click on, oh, it looks like that's the only image in the MLS currently, which makes sense. It looks like it's new build still under construction. So if there were extra images from the MLS, you would be able to choose them here. If I wanted to add extra images from my computer, maybe like a picture of the floor plan or something like that, I could click on add images and choose it straight from my computer. Or I can even choose something from the designs library using the designs applet inside of Command if you've created something specifically for this listing. But I don't have anything extra for this. There's no extra MLS images, so we'll just leave it just like that. I should say multiple images typically do better on an advertisement than a single image, and videos typically do even better than that. If you click on where it says video, we can add videos to this advertisement. They typically get more engagement. However, keep in mind that videos typically cost a little bit more to run as an ad than pictures do. I don't know the exact ratio, but know that they get better engagement, but they also cost a little bit more. Keep that in mind. So we're going to stick with an image. There's a section here for the DBA logo. That's for your Keller Williams brokerage. And you can see right here in the advertisement, that brokerage is going, logo is going in the bottom right-hand side of the picture. Now, there's a little link right here that says, click here to find your Market Center's DBA logo. If you click there, that will take you to KW Connect, so you can download your Market Center's logo package, and it has all the different variations with all the different colors and stuff like that. So use your Market Center's logo for that advertisement. Let's see, let's go ahead and click on Save Ad Media. Any questions about that before I move on to the next section?
Yes. So do they charge depending on the size of the video file?
That's a good question. I'm not entirely certain about that. I haven't asked about video size specifically. I was just told that if you run a video ad, it just costs a little bit more. I remember seeing somebody ran an ad. I think it cost him in the ballpark of $2 or $3 per lead, but he got a good number of leads from it. So I'll have to look into that. Good question.
If you run the ad on Instagram and Facebook, are you paying like double?
I believe so, because you're running it on 2 different platforms. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the Facebook ad channel options. So I'm going to go ahead and show right here, my Facebook account is connected, and then I can choose my business page that's attributed to my account. And when I do that, you can see up in the top corner, it automatically, on the ad preview, it pops in my information here for my business page. If I look at destination, this is going to be where people go whenever they click on the advertisement. By default, you can use a Facebook lead generation form, which means that when they click on the advertisement, it takes them to a page inside of Facebook where it automatically captures a good chunk of their information that they've already given Facebook, like phone number and email address. And then that will route that directly to you. Now, quick side note on that. Anybody who responds to your Facebook ads, if they respond to the Facebook lead gen form or some other site, that lead information will go directly into your command database. And we're going to go through what that looks like in just a minute. So you can use the Facebook lead gen form and just have them go directly to whatever Facebook provides, or you can use a different website or landing page, which means that if you have your command agent site set up, or if you have some other website that you prefer to use, whenever they click on the link, it will take them directly to this other website. So let's go ahead and stick with the Facebook lead gen form. Most people stick with that lead gen form because it's already built, it's simple, people can automatically plug their information into it. What we've seen is that if you use the standard Facebook lead gen form, you tend to get a little bit more engagement with it. You tend to get some more leads. However, if you use a different site or landing page, like your own personal website, the leads tend to be a little bit stronger. They tend to be a little bit more intentional about business, because if they're clicking on the Facebook lead gen form, then they're a little less serious because it's already submitting that information on their behalf. So we're going to stick with the Facebook lead gen form. The call to action label, you'll see on the left or the right-hand side on the advertisement, it says learn more right there. That is the call to action button. And you can change that from learn more to sign up or apply now. And the follow-up destination URL is going to be the secondary page where they will be directed to after they complete the lead gen form. So once they finish putting their information into the Facebook lead generation form, and they hit enter, they're going to be taken to a secondary site, which you can use as your agent website, or maybe your app download page or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on choose site, and I'm going to use my agent site homepage, taylorjohnson.kw.com. So when they finish filling out the lead form, they'll go straight to my website where they can look for additional houses or get some information about me as a realtor. Okay, ad targeting. This is where you can do a little bit more fine tuning with who your advertisement is going to be seen by. Now, by default, it's going to go wherever the listing is in a 20-mile radius. That's the default. However, you can click on Use Custom Settings and target the advertisement to a different location. For instance, if you know that you have a lot of business that's coming from another state, you can target your advertisement to another state or to another city. So for instance, if you do a lot of business with people in San Diego, you can type in San Diego and target the advertisement to that area. And you can also adjust the radius around that city. You can also change the expert targeting or the interests. Basically, it's going to target different people groups that have particular interests. So if you work with a particular clientele that is interested in, certain things like agriculture or farming or something like that, you can click on Add Interests, and you can basically pull up just about anything. This comes from Facebook: accounting, acting, advertising, affiliate marketing, agriculture. Basically, you can specifically target your advertisement to these different groups if you want to. You might not get as good of engagement if you're just keeping it very broad, if you're selecting people groups that might not necessarily be interested in your advertisement. You might not get very good engagement. You typically get better engagement if you keep it very broad. But if you know what you're doing and you know who your clientele is, you can target those people groups.
What about a specific site, like the house I'm listing is close to Nissan plant?
What's the question on that?
Is it able to target a specific site like a Nissan
Okay,
plant?
I see what you're saying. So you can't specifically target like a landmark or business or something like that. You'd have to target the city where that plant is located. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I'm just going to use the default settings and just target the advertisement to where this listing is located and then the area around that listing. And then click on Save Facebook Ad. Let's see, I didn't fill in, I didn't choose HTTPS, there we go. Okay, I didn't fill in the full address information. Okay, Save Facebook Ad. All right, and now we're going to go to duration and budget. So they say we recommend a 10-day campaign and a budget of $1 per channel per day. So basically, if you're going to run your advertisement for 10 days, they recommend $1 per day. Or if you run an advertisement for 12 days, $1 per day, that's going to be $12. Or you can spend $2 per day and it will be $24. So you can use their recommendations if you want to spend a little bit more. That doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get a bunch more leads or something like that. There's a whole process for how the Facebook ad algorithm works. I highly recommend doing a little bit of research. Hop on Google, search for how do Facebook ads work, and you can read up on the articles that talk about how ad placement works and budgeting and things like that. But their recommendation is use $1 per day. So I would stick with that recommendation for now until you've been able to play around a little bit with it. So we're going to go ahead and say we're going to run the advertisement starting tomorrow, May 21st, and then we're going to run it for 10 days, ending on May 31st. And down here, we have total campaign budget. I'm going to do $10. And you can see daily per channel. Yeah.
Let's say on the previous page, when you're looking at the miles, it's, it goes out. Why wouldn't you do more miles that goes out if it doesn't cost you more?
I'm not entirely certain. I would say probably because you're targeting a much broader audience, something like that. I'm not intimately familiar with, like I said, with the way the ad placement works. I would say go online and do a little bit of research, do some Googling, and say, how do Facebook ads work with the radius around your city and things like that, and see what articles pop up. They might be able to give you a little bit more insight on how that works. I'm not entirely certain.
If you have a starter home, a lot of those people buying their first home probably aren't living close. They might be 30 miles away.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's going to be entirely dependent on basically what you anticipate the clientele for the listing be. People that could be living far away or people that could be living close to where that listing is.
There you
go. Okay, so we've got our duration set, how long the ad's going to run. We've got our budget set. Then we just click on save duration and budget. We want to make sure, look at the advertisement preview, just make sure there's no typos, make sure there's no text that is getting chopped off, make sure our picture looks good, it's not blurry or anything like that. And when we're ready, we just click on publish campaign. And then at that point, Facebook is going to take a look at the campaign. They're going to make sure it follows their policies and guidelines. And then at that point, they will either approve the advertisement if it's okay, or they will reject it if it doesn't match their policies or guidelines. That's completely up to Facebook and how they want to run this. Basically, all we're doing is KW is just sending that advertisement and that info directly to Facebook. They don't even touch it. All right, and that is how you set up the advertisement. Pretty straightforward. They keep it as simple as possible. If you've ever looked at Facebook's ad building tools on Facebook's website itself, it's pretty complicated. It takes a lot of time to go through and learn how that system works. They've got a lot of stuff in there. However, that's why we want to use the system here in Command, is because Facebook actually partnered with Keller Williams to say, okay, we don't need certain pieces of information to run a successful Facebook advertisement for real estate. All we need is really what they've given us right here. And the results speak for themselves. We have, I mean, you can even look at the article that I sent you guys from Outfront Magazine. We have people who run Facebook advertisements and get leads for less than $1 a piece. That's crazy. That's incredible. We've seen people that have run Facebook ad competitions and have gotten leads for less than 20 cents a piece. That's fantastic. So this is a very powerful tool that speaks for itself. And you know, if your typical lead generation methods are being hampered right now because of sheltering in place and things like that, definitely utilize the Facebook advertisements and make people aware of your brand, make people aware of your listings, and try to attract some buyers and talent, things like that. All right, any questions about editing the advertisement before we continue on? All right. Of course, you can click on Save as Draft if you don't want to publish it immediately. But if you do want to go ahead and publish it, you just click Publish Campaign. I'm going to go ahead and click on this little button at the top left that says Back to Paid Ads.
Quick question.
Sure.
Since my house is going on the market tomorrow, am I able to do all this without my house actually in MLS?
Yes, you can. It'll just require you to manually upload pictures and the description. If it's active in the MLS, that means you can pull the information directly from the MLS through the KWLS. But if it's not active, then you'll have to manually upload your pictures and videos.
Hey.
Okay, so I've got a bunch of drafts here, but let's take a look at the paid ads section of the campaign's applet. This is going to show you more information and statistics on your advertisements. So you can see here how many ads you have active in the last 30 days, or I can see active overall or year to date, month to date, something like that. I can see how many impressions I've gotten, which basically means how many people have actually seen the advertisement on Facebook. I can see how many leads have been captured, basically people who have actually clicked on the ad and given me their information. And I can see how much money I've actually spent. And this is a really good way to determine whether or not the advertisements are actually working well for you. If you're noticing that you're not getting very many leads, but you're spending more money than you wish, maybe it might be a good idea to seek some alternatives in your advertisements, change the text, change the way you're adding the pictures, things like that. If you see right here, you've got the overview, so you can see all of your advertisements that are currently running or are pending or are drafts, or maybe that have been completed. I can see the name. I can see the preview of the advertisement, the current status, the duration, and then all of the statistics here, like cost per click and things like that. I can see how much has been spent, and I can see the goal of the advertisement. If you run a really successful advertisement, so we saw this example in the article that we looked at earlier. If you have an ad that does really well, it gets a lot of leads, and the leads are very cheap, you can duplicate that advertisement and run it again if you want to. All you've got to do is click on the little 3-dot menu to the right of the ad, and then click Duplicate Campaign, and you can basically run it again if you want to. If an advertisement starts running, you start an ad, you send it to Facebook, and is active and is actively collecting leads, you cannot edit it in the middle of the advertisement. You can stop the ad, but you cannot edit advertisements while it's running. Something to keep in mind.
Could you click on those three dots again to see what else is there?
Yep, edit campaign, duplicate listing, and archive campaign.
Thank you.
Okay, let us continue on. Any questions about the Facebook ads before I move on to some of the other stuff with the social posting? All right. So you can also do social posting through the campaigns in Command. Basically what that means is you can schedule all of your business page social media posts straight from here without having to go directly into Facebook. All you've got to do is if I click on the social post tab up at the top here, and again, I'm in the campaigns applet, I can sit here and schedule my next week or month's worth of social media posts on my business account if I want to. So if I want to schedule a post for tomorrow, I just click on schedule post. I can write the post text. I can click upload designs or upload images, upload videos or links. I can upload, when the date's going to be, and then I can actually preview the post and see what it looks like. All that does is it just makes it just a regular Facebook post using my business page, and I'm just scheduling it through Command. That's all it is. And you can see some suggestions on the right-hand side for some posts that you can use using videos or tips, tricks, things like that. Okay, so when you run Facebook advertisements and you are capturing leads, one common question is, well, where are the leads actually going to? Well, if you have leads that are responding to your Facebook ad, they're going to go directly into your Command database. The way you can find out if they're going in there is if you click on your home screen. Well, there's two ways. I'll show you one of them right here. If I go to my Command home screen and I click on Customize Home in the top right-hand corner, you'll notice that there's a little leads widget right here, and it's already on my page here. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag that up to the top so I can have it at the top of my Command home screen. If I click on apply, get my little control panel out of the way. All right, apply.
I'm sorry, what did you click on first to get there?
Yeah, so I'm at my Command home screen, and then I clicked on Customize Home up at the top right corner.
Okay.
And then from there, I made sure that my little leads widget box was checked on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, I actually clicked on the little leads box and dragged that up to the top. And you'll see right here, I've got a section for recent leads. So every time I log into Command, I can see all of my recent leads. Now, these are test leads. I put these in here manually, but you'll see when they came in, and you'll be able to see how they came in. Now, Bruce Wayne, he's somebody that I've already had in my database before, so that's why it's not showing me the lead source. But you'll see here, this is a lead that came in through my app because it's got this little green check mark next to it, which is an app or an agent site connection. If it's coming through Facebook, you'll be able to see that it is a Facebook lead. If it's coming in through your site or your app, you'll see that it's a site or app lead, something like that. And at that point, you can either click on the name of the lead and go directly to the app or the contact card, or we can go back to the dashboard and click on the little menu next to the lead and unmark it as a lead, or we can add it to a smart plan immediately from here. Now, the other way to see all of our new leads is if we go to our contacts applet in Command. Let me turn my filters off. Okay, so in my contacts applet in Command here, if I click on my filters button up here and then click on leads only and apply, I can see all of my leads that are sitting in the system. Now, what is a lead? And a lot of people have a question on what's a lead versus a contact. A lead is somebody that you have never had personal communication with. They clicked on an advertisement, they went straight to your database, they've never talked to you, you've never talked to them. That is what a true lead is. A true contact is somebody that you've already established communication with. You've talked to them, they've talked to you, you've begun to establish that professional relationship with them, and maybe you've already got them on some sort of drip campaign or something like that. That's the difference between a lead and a contact. Lead you've never talked to before, they just popped into your system, and a contact is someone that you have talked to before. So the goal is ultimately to convert those leads into actual contacts by putting them on drip campaigns, calling them or texting them or emailing them, and establishing communication with them so you can begin to work with them as a client or refer them if you need to. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Anything that I can go back over to clarify?
Yes, and you gotta kill me, but that gentleman's question I was writing, by the time I looked up, I missed it. So you start command homepage,
Mm-hmm.
in your top right, you click on something.
Customize home. And then when you click on that, you'll click on the, make sure that your little leads widget on the left-hand side is selected, the little green check mark next to it. And then on the right side where you actually construct what your home screen widgets look like, just make sure that your leads widget is at the top or near the top. So that way, when you log in a
I got
command,
all that. It's just I looked up to look where you clicked and missed that. Sorry.
gotcha. That's okay. And also remember, this is recorded as well. So you'll be able to go back into that YouTube account that I put in the chat, and you can watch this later on if you need to as well. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions that I can cover for you guys before we finish up?
Could you
Great
show us
class,
how
thank
to use the Facebook advertising to market ourselves, like our services?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and go back to the campaigns applet. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on create new campaign. Now we want to do a paid social ad through Facebook. And you'll notice here under the goals, there is a brand awareness goal, so to speak. And that's the one that you really want to use for, or one of the ones you really want to use for kind of advertising yourself and your real estate services. So some people will advertise Keller Mortgage there, basically say, hey, you know, no closing costs, no origination fees, credit at closing, you know, basically talk about how great Keller Mortgage is. Some people will use their market center's information. If your market center publishes its language of real estate report, which basically shows how well it's done compared to the rest of the market, you might use that information too. So let's say, for instance, you've never done a listing before, just as an example, and you want to advertise yourself as somebody who wants to get more listings. You could use the brand awareness or the attract listings goal and basically say, my market center has sold X amount of listings last month or year to date. And basically say, hey, I've got an awesome platform that I'm building my business on to sell listings. You should list with me, things like that.
How about brand awareness of yourself directly to something you specifically accomplished, like sold this house in 3 days?
Yeah, that could be a good one. You could use that under brand awareness. I would say probably attract listings, because your ultimate goal by talking about a listing that you have sold is probably going to be attracting more listings. And I would say that would go under the attract listings goal. So that way you can say, hey, I sold this house in 3 days. I should sell your house too. It's a good question. So I like that. All right. Well, I don't have anything else for y'all. Like I said, I posted my YouTube channel into the Zoom chat along with my schedule for the rest of this week and also for next week. I continue to send the schedule to your market center leadership. So if you lose that schedule or you want to know about the future classes, definitely get with them and ask them what those are. They should be publishing those on their training calendar, or at the very least publishing them on your Facebook pages. And if anybody has any questions about the Facebook advertisements or how to utilize them, definitely get with your leadership and they can instruct you on how to use these, or maybe even start some like masterminds or something like that. That could be a good activity to say, hey, let's start a mastermind at Facebook advertisements and maybe connect with some of your top producing agents. All right, that's all I have. I appreciate everybody getting on the call. I do have another class that I'm doing tomorrow on using DocuSign and also using Command compliance for those of you who have market centers that utilize Command for all of your compliance checking. So that's going to be a good one. And then my Friday class is basically going to be a Q&A and also updates class. And I'll go through some like tips and tricks and things like that too. So you're not going to want to miss that one. All right. Everybody have a good afternoon. Appreciate you being on the call, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow.
Great class. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Not a problem. You'll have a good one.